Hello and welcome to SideQuest Podcast. This week,
Woo!
we're talking about hay
What up?
baling, concrete busting. You know, all the main gaming topics of the week.
That was the
I mean,
pre-show,
people
yo.
like games about menial jobs, right?
They
Power
do.
wash simulator. People like
True.
running weed shop.
Hell, I
Weed
got
shop,
a
weed shop.
virtual reality power washing simulator. Just come on over and I'll set you up. I got a whole house and a fence you can do.
Wonder if you could trick people into doing it. Like, yeah, it's this new thing. These goggles, put them on, and then you show them to a dirty area, and you're like, isn't it so realistic?
Give him the old Huck Finn. Oh, this painting this fence is so much fun. You gotta try it.
We did barbecue some Briars last week, Briar.
That's shameful.
I did the League of Legends charity stream
How'd it
for
go?
the GCX. It was good. Yeah, there's a new character that came out called Briar. And we had a counter for every time she was essentially like set on fire.
Oh,
And then we would call that like barbecue Briar. So I had a barbecue Briar counter. It was
Sounds
great.
delicious.
I don't appreciate this line of talk.
You also showed up in a D&D campaign as a 10-year-old child with a beard who tastes like chicken.
Wow, why are you eating 10-year-olds?
Because they taste like chicken. It's
That's
a rare
not an
breed.
excuse.
A rare breed of a
Stringy.
10-year-old that can grow a beard who tastes like chicken, specifically.
I think Briar could
Not
do
all
it.
10-year-olds.
That's not an excuse. Just because it tastes like chicken doesn't mean you should eat it.
What if it's the last remaining chicken taste? You'd probably eat yourself, Brian.
I mean,
Yep. Yeah, you look
you
good
don't
today,
like
Briar. We
chicken?
didn't get to say.
Your mom.
Briar
Oh,
looks
God
good today,
damn it.
right, Watts?
Yeah.
It's looking
what do you
good.
mean by good? Like delicious
mean-
good?
It's 1:20 p.m. over here. I didn't have any lunch yet.
Yeah, I'm getting a little hungry too. It's about lunchtime.
Well, that's going to wrap
Coast.
this podcast up. I'm going to go run.
That's gonna wrap Briar up.
I got to get my go bag ready.
Wrap Brian.
Wrap Briar
Oh,
wrap.
man.
Burrito Brian.
Ooh,
Strongly dislike.
a Briarita. I don't know.
So this
All right,
weekend,
yeah.
or this week, we got the new trailer for Final Fantasy VII. I'm sorry, is it Reborn? Rebirth?
Rebirth.
Rebirth. Thank you.
Rebirth.
I'm going to mess that up forever.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Final Fantasy VII, the remake part 2.
Yes, thank you. That's a better name. It's
Just
so
like
clear.
the Xbox 2, the Xbox 3.
Yep,
You see,
yep.
you
Final
understand that.
Right
Fantasy
away
VII
know what it
remake
is.
2023, the 2-disc one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's what. Actually, yeah, it's Final Fantasy VII 2024.
2024.
That's easier
true.
than anything.
With 2 discs.
Done.
No, because then I got to remember the year. If you just say Final Fantasy Remake 2, I know exactly what it is.
Okay. Yeah, Final Fantasy remake part
Agree
2.
to disagree.
There you go. Please, please. We did.
So how was the trailer? Was it good? Did it look good?
It looked awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like they showed chocobo racing that looks exactly like Mario Kart, which was incredible.
Okay. I like Mario Kart.
They had like the boxing, as the two dudes just like putting in inputs boxing. That was like another mini game. They showed off like so many mini games and young Sephiroth and Cloud fighting together. And yeah, it looks, when I was watching it, I was like, this looks like a large game. And then I think there were some articles that came out that were talking about how it's like 100 hours in this one.
Well, that's a lot bigger
Yeah, I
than the
mean,
first
that-
one. The first one was like 40.
Yeah, a lot
Easily.
bigger. Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
Plus,
and it
integrated.
comes out like 2 days after Final Shape. Let's go, baby.
Wah, wah.
You're excited that it comes out 2 days after. I mean, whatever. 2 days
It's,
after my birthday. That's what's.
Oh,
most-
no, that's a
Oh.
celebration.
That is a celebration. We did the same thing with Elden Ring, though, right? With Witch Queen. I was preparing for a raid
That's true.
during Witch Queen playing Elden Ring, so
That's tough.
I'm sure it'll be
Yeah,
fine.
I loved the first one in Intergrade.
It was very good.
It was very pretty, and I only played it on the PlayStation 5. So those who got to play that stuff, right? It's on PC now, right?
Yeah.
It didn't co-launch though, right? It had an exclusivity window, I think.
It did
anyway,
have an exclusivity. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to check this one out. And like just the fact they've hit their stride, I imagine, with this game. Like they learned all the ins and outs of developing, right? The remake, what works, what doesn't, hopefully. And yeah, you can just see it, yeah, with the mini games and everything. Like everything just looks really polished. And I just can't wait to play it.
Yeah. For me, it was the story. Like the story was so batshit, but I just wanted to know more and more and more. Like they sunk a hook into my cheek so hard that I will follow anywhere now. I can't wait.
Yeah, my favorite parts of Final Fantasy VII Remake are just like being in the middle of battle and then able to switch real time full motion video cutscene as well as
Yeah.
like close up gameplay and mixing it together. Like nobody, for the most part, has done it that well. Again, full motion video with high action gameplay mode. So you're in the middle of fighting a boss. You know, it doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, it's incredible. It's telling a story. You know, you'll be in the middle of the strike and then like you'll crawl up the side of a building in a full motion video. Something big happens, and then you're back in the battle, but there's no loading. And honestly, just some of the most like, amazing storytelling and action gameplay that I've played in a while. So I can't wait to check out.
It was
Rebirth.
great.
Also,
Excited.
dancing.
I can't wait.
Very good dancing.
Oh,
Dancing and
so good.
chocobos.
Yeah, I love Final Fantasy for all of like the crazy story, the really good combat, the characters are all great, and then you have like these silly mini games that it really gives you a nice
boxing
mix of
minigame.
things. Yeah.
In the last one in particular. But I will say,
yeah.
worth calling out. Curious how you guys might feel, but the town stuff was so like, I understand they kept walking around the village and little Easter egg hunt stuff. Just buzzkill central.
Oh, like
worst
the
parts.
side quest kind of
Grand
stuff.
help hates helping kids and cats.
Go
Put it in
pick
the newsletter.
flowers.
I am 100% with Fran. That cat side quest was the worst.
Yeah. And some of the like, that's the thing. They had these really big stages. And this is like, I talk about this a lot. It's a great illustration of like, I understand they were being very true to the original. There's an argument to be made. But like, when it comes to gameplay pacing, they were total buzzkill. And like, they have these amazing set pieces.
Yeah.
But then you'd get dumped into the village for like, I don't even know how many hours. And then like, you would even do little side quests where you might get into some battles, but it literally felt like you went back to 1997 for those battles. They looked better, but I was just like, how do I go from this is unbelievable to I'm just like the usual, like walking down the same alley that I've already been down, just doing this and casting.
Looking for a cat.
Well, then you should know where the
Looking
cats
for a
are
cat.
if you've done it so many times, Fran.
They just got there when
Yes,
they put the quest in. Or how about those plucky homeless kids that you got to explore the social structure of for 2 hours?
Whiny,
Whiny homeless
orphans.
kids and lost cats. God.
I adore that game, but it was certainly not perfect. I adored it though.
Yeah, I should have wrapped him up in a burrito and fed him to Ifrit, as far as I'm concerned. But I'm hoping that Rebirth has a lot less of that. So,
Or they're gonna have a lot more because Cloud's got a Segway, baby. He can travel faster.
Love
He's
it.
on a Segway.
really?
Yeah, trucking along on his Segway.
That's so
I saw
Cloud.
that. Wait, was that not the? It wasn't a motorcycle. Was it a Segway?
Oh, it's a
Or
Segway.
was it both?
No, I mean probably both, but he's
Probably
definitely has
both.
a Segway. Definitely.
Who needs chocobos? This is the modern age.
Oh no, I was thinking of the cycle. Yeah, the race. On
That's
the
how you get
freeway or
around the
whatever,
village, you know, in the city.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll have all of the above because yeah, again, the team is just probably trying to be very true to the original, and I don't remember all these moments. So, like for me, I do. It's interesting because it's like one of my favorite all-time games, but I literally have not played it since 1997. And so I remember it fondly. I especially remember like the Sephiroth stuff in general. Not spoiling anything, but so I'm really looking forward to it. But like I don't remember all the little stuff, which I know some people like can't wait to see that recreated. And I'm way less of like I don't want that stuff recreated. I just want a really well-paced gameplay experience. Or if you do recreate that stuff, I want to be able to skip through it. Like, let me get past the giving the orphans their flowers for an hour. That slows down the gameplay, but
You call them orphans anymore? Feels like that's something you can get canceled for now. I still say
You
orphan.
That's a
Well,
great
what
question.
are they? Parentless babies?
Yeah.
That's a good point. You never know what words
Parent challenged
are
kids.
outdated. Definitely got me looking it up now. So,
Little Oliver Twits running around.
so far,
Oliver Twit?
I'm in the clear.
Oliver Twits. I guess that's what they're called now. That's less derogatory.
It's literary.
Derived from Greek, thankfully.
Mm.
Anyway, yeah,
Yep.
that game's going to be a banger. February 29th, you said?
I think so. I don't
It's 2 days
remember.
after
I think so.
Final
I think
Shape.
it's the 29th. Yes.
I know because my birthday is 27th. Yeah, it
think
is.
it's the 20.
February 29th, 2024. Available worldwide.
On 2 discs.
Just
Two
on the
discs.
PlayStation, though.
Is that the
discs.
first 2 discs we've gotten on the PlayStation 5?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's been a long time since we've had like a modern game with 2 discs.
2 discs. That's
By
going to
the
be
way,
exciting.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how the first one was. I don't remember there really being issues, but my guess is those cutscenes, you know, the full motion video looks even better unless there's like a data limitation to how quickly they can make. In other words, is the download got the full quality, or is it slightly different if you are playing from the disc, you know, because they have the ability to.
You know, nowadays you
Have it
just put the
uncompressed.
disc in and they download the game anyway. So you store it all on the hard drive.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't-
because it can
Excited to
hold
hear
up
that, see that
to.
screen pop up. Insert next disc.
I think it has the ability to hold up to 100 gigabytes.
A PlayStation
on
5
the
disc, Ken? What format is
so.
that? Is that Blu-ray?
Yeah, it's UHD Blu-rays,
Ultra
right?
HD Blu-ray?
So that's what I was trying to remember is if I'll double check this, but yeah, I mean, I think that would mean you have potentially a couple hundred gigs, which I doubt the install is going to be that, right? So anyway, that'll be for Digital Foundry and friends to help us figure out, but
That's interesting.
might
That's
be
a good
worth
point.
playing on disc, though, is what I'm saying. Do your research. You might want to get the disc if you're really into it and you're going to be playing on a big screen TV.
Plus, don't you want 2 discs? Come on.
I
That's
do
fun.
want 2 discs. I do. I really do.
Have they announced any like special
Just-
editions or anything like that?
For old time. I don't know.
Yeah,
They
I'm
probably
not
did,
sure.
and I already missed it, right? Because they usually like announce that stuff and it sells out immediately, and then you can't ever get it. Anyhow, 2
That's
discs.
exciting.
And this is going to be part 2 of part 3. Have they confirmed that there's going to be 3 parts, or is that just like
believe so,
fan
yeah.
speculation? Okay.
I think they had a plan for 3.
So
Oh, that's
when did
right.
part
This
1
isn't
come out?
necessarily the rest of it because it.
Nope.
When did part
That
1
was
come
2
out? Was
years.
that 2018?
2 years, maybe 3 years ago.
What year
Yeah,
is
3.
this
It
year?
should have been 3. I don't know.
In the comments below, can you tell us what year it is, please?
It did. Okay, I think it came out the year of the pandemic in April 2020. That's
2020.
what I'm seeing on the internets, which I think
All
checks
right.
out.
Okay.
And then Intergrade would have been probably 2 years. No, Intergrade was like a year later, wasn't
I
it?
haven't played Integrate. Is it worth going
good.
back to? Should I?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
is it
yeah.
required viewing or?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it depends on what you're talking about. I mean, from a gameplay perspective, I'd say yes. Story, I'm no good with that stuff. I don't remember.
Okay. Because I got a lot of Final Fantasy to catch up on right now.
You got a lot to catch up on, and you're
Yeah.
still so busy with Pikmin that I don't know how you're going to dig yourself out of this hole.
That's good question. That rapper just really flummoxed me. I'll figure out what way into that box eventually. What else is going on? Oh, I read on the internet today that Liza P got released early on Xbox Game Pass, but Watts corrected me. Said no,
Yeah,
dummy.
You're not dumb, because on Twitter they're all like, "Oh, apparently it's here early," and I was surprised reading that this morning because the Lies of P Twitter account put out the release time across the globe of when it will be available and per system. And for Game Pass, Xbox and PC, it was available today at 8 a.m. Pacific, the 18th, 8 a.m. Pacific. But the official release date was tomorrow. So Lies of P's been an interesting release time one because we've kind of had a couple of these situations where if a game is coming out on Tuesday, it'll release on Steam sometimes at like 4 p.m. Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas so on PlayStation for Lies of P, it's coming out at a pretty normal time, which is 9 p.m. Pacific, which is midnight Eastern. That's a normal time. If a game's coming out tomorrow, for it to come out at 9 p.m. tonight for me, that's very normal.
Okay.
But on Xbox and PC, it was 8 a.m. this morning. So
Yeah, they're not used to
it's
that.
yeah, it's strange, but I'm happy for it because it also with early access, it was the same thing. I was expecting to be start playing on Saturday, but I was able to start on Friday. So
Oh,
Yeah, I wonder why that is.
8 a.m. release time. I
Is
don't
it a
know.
Korean developer?
Yes.
But even then, that's what I was thinking. I was like, but that's like a midnight or it's like a very late in the evening release time. So I don't know.
And the fact
Doesn't
that
seem like it has
PlayStation
to
is
do with
like a
that.
normal release time is
It's interesting.
I wonder if
Yeah.
it's like some kind of deal with Game Pass. Like, hey, we want it a day early over here.
I don't know. Steam got it early.
Hmm.
Yeah, you can play it on Steam right now
How
without
is it?
early access. Early access is over. Oh, it's the best. It's very, very, very good.
Yeah?
I'm like 17 hours in.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's everything I expected and wanted and more from it. It's probably one of
exciting.
the better Souls likes we've had. And obviously we're not talking about FromSoft because they are the creators of that. But in terms of Souls likes,
Souls
probably one
likes.
of the better ones. And this is their first ever journey into this kind of game. This is their second ever game. It's their first time doing a Souls like. Their first game was like a really poopy MMO.
Look it up on Steam. Poopy MMO.
Poopy.
Don't look that up unless you have
Oh
safe
yeah, no,
search
that's
on.
definitely a thing. Yeah,
Unless
yeah,
you have
it's not
safe
that
search
thing.
on.
Yeah, so it's kind of incredible what they've been able to achieve. Like just the whole atmosphere of the game with the audio and how everything looks is so awesome to be in. Even though it's like a very, of course, like sad, drab kind of world because
Love
there's
it.
the puppets going crazy and there's a petrification disease that's turning people into stone. And then there's this other kind of disease that's turning them into monsters, which in my storyline, we haven't quite figured out what the hell that is yet. But yeah, it's beautiful. I find myself walking through a lot, just like looking at the environment. It looks great.
Yeah. At first, that game when I first saw it, I was like, "This game is interesting looking, but it looks like a high res PS2 game." But I would no longer say that. Like over the course of development, they definitely have
man.
improved the look of
Oh,
that
it
game
looks nice.
tremendously. It looks awesome. How's the
Yeah, it looks
combat? Like,
great.
and how many weapons are there? Like, is there like a lot of RPG kind of stuff, or?
I have no idea how many weapons there are. The weapon system allows you to combine handles and the blade together. So
Yeah.
you can have the handle of a great sword and put it on a little stabby weapon, and you'll be swinging the little stabby weapon like it's a great sword.
Can I put
But you
great
can also do the
sword
other thing.
blades on nunchucks?
I don't know if there's a nunchuck handle. You're muted, Fran.
I am?
Oh, you're fine now.
I think I was just, lip. I don't know what I was doing, but
Just shocked by the
Let's move on.
nunchuck great sword.
yeah.
Yeah, so you
Mouthing the
can,
words is what I was looking for there.
Didn't know
You
you
know, I
wanted it till you heard about it.
Disclose that I had a show
Oh.
earlier today with the Kind of Funny Games team, and we ate
Yeah.
a bunch of like hot, spicy food, which for me is not actually, it wasn't a big
Oh,
deal.
okay.
Oh.
But I might be slightly still like coming down from the endorphins.
He's a little loopy, is what he's saying.
Yeah.
He's a little cuckoo. If he starts doing weird stuff, don't be alarmed.
Yeah. But yeah, it's getting good reviews. Game Informer's
is.
Wesley LeBlanc gave it a 9.5.
Wow.
Huge score from them. IGN's Travis Northup gave it an 8. Couple of the noteworthy outlets at least. But yeah, I mean, it's been getting good scores. And I wanted to ask Watts, speaking of Kind of Funny, Andy Cortez over there said he thinks it feels closer to Sekiro. Do you?
Yeah, I kind of said that during the demo, and like obviously we had a limited experience, so I was like, that might be a little wrong. But yeah, it looks like Bloodborne, and I think people were like, this is going to be Bloodborne. Like they're inspired by Bloodborne. Like it's clearly going to kind of play like Bloodborne. And it has Bloodborne properties for sure. Like if you guard and it's not a perfect guard, you get like gray health, and then you can get that health back by attacking. So that's a very kind of Bloodborne thing. But the game, I think, really rewards you for parrying. And you can parry very quickly. There's not like a downtime, right? Where you're like, in some games where there's parrying available, you won't be able to
just
parry attack after attack
Eats
after attack.
all of your stamina to parry or whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, parrying is really really strong in this game. And I think
Sounds
initially,
fun.
even more so, they wanted you to kind of play it with blocking and parrying in mind rather than dodging, because the dodge was, for a lot of people, not feeling great in the demo. And they
Hmm.
went and changed it to feel a bit smoother, a bit more responsive, and a bit better at dodging. So they went and changed that before the game came out. And there is also things in the skill tree
Hmm.
to upgrade the dodge to be better if you're like a dodge gamer. But yeah, I'm definitely playing it more
Dodgy.
akin to Sekiro than Bloodborne.
Okay. Cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Just don't have time for all these games right now. We complain about it every week, so I'm not gonna do more of that. But this one seems, yeah, big enough. If you're into this genre, you should probably set aside time right now, because yeah, the year's gonna slip, and Lords of the Fallen is mid-October, I believe. So
Yeah, it's getting close.
if you want to play
Um,
both, good luck.
But the RPG mechanics for, so you do have it's your heart that you're essentially upgrading, and that gives you a bunch of things. There's a skill tree for that kind of stuff. It's pretty in depth because you have like a 4 kind of circles and in clusters, and they give you like the ability to do a second dodge while you're doing your first dodge or stuff like that. And then you fill that skill with things like your heavy attacks do more poise damage, or you gain your fable arts meter faster. So there's like a kind of a two-parter to leveling up your character and choosing the kind of build you want to go with.
Hmm.
But yeah, combat is
Seems sweet.
great. It, like, all the weapons feel fantastic. There's a lot of variety with mixing and matching the handles and stuff. There are also unique weapons where you don't mix and match the handles that have unique abilities on them, which I got yesterday. I got an umbrella. So I'm now using an
That'll be
umbrella,
handy if it rains.
which it rains a lot in Let's Play.
Perfect.
Yeah. The
How would you
umbrella is
com-
incredible.
How would you compare it to like the most modern of Souls games, Elden Ring, in terms of not the world, but the stats and the weapon variety and armor variety? There's like so much in Elden Ring that you find and change, and like it doesn't have a skill tree. You've got stats, but how does it feel like it's got a bunch of things like that in terms of like
Yeah. Yeah, it's got a bunch of stuff because you have the skill upgrade like dexterity, strength, etc., like a Souls game that
do you
you're
do
familiar
magic too?
with. There's not really magic there.
Okay.
The closest thing to magic is the Legion arm that can like spit fire or electricity or acid, and yeah, so
But
the
it's
magic kind of play style is which you can build into. You can build to like
mhm.
using your Legion arm more.
Okay, but in terms of stats, is it like you can do a strength build, you can do a dex build, you can do a
Yeah.
stamina build? It's got those
Yep.
as okay.
Yeah, they're not called that. They're like motivity and
Something too hard
arcane
to
or
remember.
something. So yeah, you can do that, and then you also have the upgrade tree of the heart, which is called the P organ system.
P
Yep,
organ.
the P organ.
Interesting.
Okay. Tell me more
Yeah.
about the P organ.
It's a heart. It's a mechanical heart.
It's a beating
It's a
heart.
P organ. Yep. So you have that as well. And then, yeah, all the mixing and matching of weapons. And then you also have a crank that you can use to change the scaling of a weapon. So if you are a dex build and you find a strength weapon that you want to use, you can change the strength weapon into a dex weapon. And if
You
you
can't
don't
use
have
the crank on your P organ, can you?
no
Okay.
crank in the P organ. No, that's specifically to change the
It's too bad.
scaling of weapon.
No
There is a
crank
lot
Maybe in
on
going
Lies of
on.
P2,
It's
you'll be able
really
to crank your
cool.
P organ.
And the story is super interesting, and the like the world really kind of gets me. Like there'll be little side quests, like you'll find a kid in a window, and in the demo there was a woman in a window who wanted you to find her child, and then you found out that she's a puppet, the child's puppet, or it's the remainder of a toy of the child or something. But when you do
Creepy.
that, you get rewards from doing that, and you can kind of piece things together, which feels really cool. So I've progressed to maybe like the third area, and then I find something that's telling me to go to the first area and look around for this, and it gives me more
Oh,
world
nice.
building, or I got a costume from that specific one. And then the costume has lore on it that tells you kind of, more about what's been going on with the world. And he was essentially the doctor who I got the costume from, was killing people before they turned into monsters. So, yeah, it's pretty dark.
That's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, yeah. So it's cool. It's
He's
really
a boy,
good.
he's not a boy, he's a puppet. He
It's
might
a
be a
puppet.
puppet.
It's not a puppet.
He went to his
Yeah.
doctor.
Should I play
Yeah,
this on
sounds
PC
good.
or PS5? That's my question.
Well, it runs incredible on Steam Deck, hitting a consistent 60. So if you want to play on Steam Deck as well as PC, then you might
But
want to
you
go with
could
that.
just try it out on Game Pass first. As much as
You
if you're
could
going to
just try it on
support
Game
I don't
Pass.
have
new
Game
IP,
Pass.
though.
I got rid
you
of
can
it.
yeah.
afford it.
Deleted Game Pass.
I deleted Game Pass.
okay.
Maybe it's time to get it again, though.
Depends. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I would, if I had the money, I would be like, oh, I'll 100% buy this on Steam, is what I would do. But yeah, I just can't. I'm just gonna have to Game Pass it. I was so happy when I was like, ooh, it is on Game Pass, because I was like, I'll just have to buy it. But now, awesome. Game Pass is serving me well. But yeah, it's exciting.
Check it out on Game Pass. If you're a Souls fan, you definitely need to give it a try. And even if you're not, the developer constantly said that he wanted Lies of P to not be this super intimidating Souls game. He wanted people to be able to get in and enjoy it. And like you can over level, or I don't know if you're necessarily over leveling, but you can, if you're struggling, you can be like, I'm going to spend some time leveling up to get more health. And I think if you're really struggling and you need to dump all your points into health, I think that will help a lot, because dumping points into health not only gives you more health, but it also increases the amount that you heal your gray health. So yeah, if you don't need that way, you don't have to dodge real good. You don't have to parry real good. You can just guard, get your health back. You got a big health bar. There's also summons that you can do for boss fights. So yeah,
I'm so
I
in.
think
I think you just ultra sold me with that, because sometimes I do get frustrated at very hard games and just put them down because I'm just like, I'm gonna go do something else. But if there is some approachability to it, that makes me like it better.
yeah.
Nice.
I think if you put a bunch into health, you'll be totally fine.
Is there a mimic?
It's not a mimic.
My
It's a specter
hero
with
of
a
Elden
scythe.
Ring.
A specter with a scythe. I don't know who they are yet. I assume there's lore behind them, but yeah.
All right, I just gotta figure out if I'm gonna buy it for PlayStation 5 or Steam.
Well, PlayStation 5, you won't be able to play today.
No.
If you want to play
I
it.
won't be able to play today anyway.
Okay.
What else is going on this week?
This week, I have no idea.
See,
I
think
have just
we're-
been in Lies of P, and I have not looked out.
So I
I've
just,
been
I read an
stuck
article
in there.
today, and I thought of Fran immediately.
Uh-oh.
It said Microsoft's targeting a 2028 launch for its new Xbox console. And I thought,
Oh, a 2028?
2028 launch, and I thought, Fran's going to scoff at this, because of course they are. Like, that, doesn't that,
Yeah.
it's like the exact
Okay, well,
right.
but did that one actually come from the redacted FTC filings? There was a bunch of Microsoft, for the Activision acquisition, there was a bunch of like filings. So yeah, Elder Scrolls was like on the list as would release in Elder Scrolls 6 would come out in 2026 or later. This was just redacted, and or that piece wasn't redacted, but I wonder if it came from some of that.
It's
Or
court
yeah, where did you
documents.
read this? And
It was VGC.
okay,
What is the name of that actual? I don't.
Video Games Chronicle.
Yes, thank you. And it was. It says court documents.
Yeah, there you go. So at least it's from those redacted.
Yeah.
That one's big though. I've been running around today because that just dropped this morning. It's a bunch of stuff. I didn't see that yet. So really interesting.
I mean, that's 5 years away, and the Xbox 4 has been out for 2 years, which is 7 years, which is a traditional console cycle,
At
right?
this point. Yep. Yeah, you could set your watch to it.
Yeah.
Like at this point, they're tending to go about 7 years. Could of course go 8 if you're. I was trying to remember. Let's see. Nintendo Switch is approaching.
But it feels so much older.
Yeah, it'll be Nintendo Switch will be 7 years. Yeah, I mean basically they've been getting longer the last few generations, right? We went from 5 to 6, and now we're getting into 7 territory. So, we'll see. But yeah, I buy that. I think it's a question with Xbox, how important the hardware is at this point.
I'm hoping it's not that important at all. I'd love to see a future where we just kind of get an upgraded Xbox, once every few years, and all the games run on it. It just runs better.
Yeah, that's pretty tricky to do, though, from a development standpoint. And it's also not very exciting. There's not much generational leap. I mean, there is and isn't, but it puts a lot of pressure on the consumer, too. But I know what you mean. For personally, I mean, that's how I look at my PC now, which is nice.
Yeah.
And you want those upgrades. I've always wanted, the in-between, which I guess is where the Pro, the Xbox Series, the Xbox One X, right?
The 3.5.
And the PlayStation 5
Xbox
Pro
3.5.
is still rumored. Yeah, exactly. Xbox 3.5, 2019 or whatever it was. But yeah, I think that it's a credible thing, obviously, because it's coming from these redacted documents. So, but that's the thing. All of this, everything that came from those documents is important to remember. Those were exchanges, whether they're emails or official paperwork that had to be submitted. But that's just it's always subject to change, but we get a peek inside of what's going on there. So,
yeah, I can't imagine that there's much going on in hardware development for this thing yet. Like the hardware for this probably isn't even if they were to say stick with AMD, like an AMD chip, like whatever chip is going in there, AMD is probably still developing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd say the white paper stuff, they probably lay out where they think it'll be, but absolutely, there's no reason. I don't know if it's 3 years before that they get really serious about the tech and the pipeline at that point. Probably 3.5 maybe, right? Because development, got to get a pretty big factory line set up. But yeah, so we're years, let's assume that it's 2028. You're at least a few years away until I think they get really serious about what's the hardware look like. Because it's never the latest.
No.
It sometimes it includes a few pieces of it that they're able to get in there. Which Nintendo Switch 2, those rumors are out. That's where we're going to see this model proven, right? It's benefited from waiting so freaking long. There's now rumors that it might be DLSS NVIDIA based and also be able to support DLSS 3 maybe, which is the latest tech.
I wonder if Mortal Kombat 1 will run better on that.
I was about to say, have you guys seen the pictures of Mortal Kombat on Switch?
Color me unsurprised, having played Mortal Kombat 11 on the Switch. I was not hopeful for performance of Mortal Kombat 1. That game looks so good on PC and modern consoles. It looks
good.
Unreal good. They take realism. Well, their characters. Realism, they make their characters. The history of Mortal Kombat was, they used to use digitized images and put them in the game, so they always look realistic, like the people have. The unprecedented levels, I think, in Mortal Kombat 1. But man, on the Switch, it looks.
Oh my god, on the Switch, it is funny. It's a different game.
It can't support the facial animation tech and some other stuff. It looks
their eyes are just buggy and it just looks bizarre. But I gotta say, Mortal Kombat 11 looked bad too. I swear to God, it was running at 240p sometimes. It was so blocky. Yeah. And Mortal Kombat 1 looks so much better on modern hardware that it's got it's got an inverse relationship. As the game gets better looking on modern hardware, it's got to get worse looking on the Switch because it's so old. You might as well run it on a Super Nintendo at this point.
Yeah, I think I've brought it up on the show before, but if we don't talk as much about who is porting this game. It used to be a very big conversation.
Yeah.
I think because there have been so many successful ports and you wouldn't think as much about it. And even now, right, I'm sure as people were listening, they probably were thinking at first oh, it was just, it was the main studio, NetherRealm, and they just had more trouble. But no, it's another studio. They got to get the assets. They got to port the tech and all of that. And we forget that. And sometimes there's been really bad ports in it. Yeah, I guess it doesn't happen as much anymore, and this is one of them. And people were bringing up even more importantly, like, I guess it costs $70 on Switch.
Oh my god.
Ooh,
I'd be so mad
Lord.
if I brought this home and it looked like that.
They don't even have
double-check, but
eyelids.
They
They
don't
can't even get the eyelids in the
They
game.
can't afford eyelids.
No eyelids. Not for $70. It's gonna be
I'm
a lot
double-checking
more
that.
expensive.
Eyes wide
But,
open over here. We don't need eyelids. We're on the
Nope.
Switch.
Yeah, it's $70, and if you get the premium edition, it's still $110.
Oh man. I mean, if you want to practice your combos on the go, I mean, it doesn't really matter how it looks as long
I
as it
guess,
plays
yeah.
well. I don't know. Does it play well? I haven't actually heard anybody talking about how well it plays. I've only heard them talk about how bad it looks.
Same.
So if it
Did you
still
manage
plays
to get
good-
into the campaign, Briar?
I haven't
Mortal
bought the
Kombat?
game yet. I think it's only
Oh,
out
right,
for
you're
early
waiting for
access,
release,
right?
right?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah,
wait for
yeah.
release. I'm not gonna go after the early access on that game.
So, Brian, you said that the last Mortal Kombat 11 was also problematic?
On the Switch?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked terrible. Like comparatively to, I think I played it on PlayStation 4.
Yeah, it's the same studio, so that it begs the question of like, well, we knew this was coming.
Yeah, this was
They knew it was the
predictable.
best they could do, but like, yeah, like the fact that it's still $70, I saw the headline, and I was like, yeah, I haven't like had to think about that. I'm like, normally, right? I think we talked about it on the show. I'm like, I don't care that Zelda is $70 and runs at 26 frames a second. Tears of the Kingdom. I'm like, I get it, but it's a
Such
massive
a Zelda apologist. Why are you?
No,
why
but
do you
it's
hate
like a
Mortal Kombat?
massively scoped game that does really incredible stuff, and like, of course. But now you have a situation of like, you have all of the competing products with clearly better technology, even if they're on other more expensive platforms. And it begs the question, like, yeah, why are we when you know that it's getting a downgrade?
Yeah, but I agree with you. But at least you get to play. Like if your Switch is the only console you got, and you're literally looking forward to Mortal Kombat 1, at least you get a chance to play it. Yeah,
True.
I mean the experience is massively downgraded. But hey,
Yeah.
I agree. It's $80 for that. I think is a lot. $70 or $80? Is it $79.99? It's $69.99.
$69.99.
Nice.
Yeah. I know we're losing track at this point with all the DLCs and
$100.
deluxe editions.
It has been a lot,
$109.99.
yeah. I recently, because we had, the Starfield early access, and then you had Lies of P early access. Every game is now doing early access.
Yeah.
And I get it why companies are doing it, because
money.
it's free money. It's free money. It's just free.
Money's
Take it.
good. I like it too.
But it's like, when is this game launching? Well, it's launching at this time and this time and this time across multiple different platforms. And then if you do the early access, then it's this time. But if you buy this version, then it's this time and this day. And it's like, I don't know anymore. Just let me put out a tweet when the game's out, and I'll play it. I can't figure it out anymore.
That's why I come here every Monday. So Watts can tell me when the game is out.
Yeah, going back to what I was saying though about, you do have some ports that are like mostly fine. You would expect the frame rate to be less, right? Like I think even an uneducated
Well, the fighting game, you
noticed.
can't compromise the frame rate.
Well, I'm sure you do on the Nintendo Switch. But my point is like, you would expect things like that. But like it clearly has tech problems. I don't know the half of it, but like a couple of the screens I saw, if those are not bugs in the moment and it's always like that,
Yeah.
like now you're getting into like borderline misleading marketing of like, and this is my point, right? It's like you have a bunch of ports. Fine, we could find somewhere like that port was pretty good. Yeah, sure, the frame rate was only 30/60, but then I don't care as much about like, yeah, it's a great product, like same price. Of course, it's on the Switch. Where else am I going to get it? But in this case, you're like, you've got problems, real problems, and I assumed it was going to be on the same footing as the other, like the PlayStation 5 one, but of course, meaning frame rate, or of course, it's not as high res, but like these are like facial animation issues. So anyway, I can't speak to like, does it always look like that, or are these momentary bugs? I haven't had time to investigate, but it's concerning. I think that if you fall into the category of you did pick it up and it looks that bad, you should take it up with them. It's questionable if it's always like that. That's all I'd say.
I just looked it up. I just want to see how bad this really is.
I saw.
So I just looked up like a full gameplay,
Yeah, gameplay video. I've only seen screenshots.
And to be honest, like watching
Yeah.
this, it looks like the gameplay is mostly gonna be fine when you're
Okay.
fighting. But
Okay,
it's like
that's good.
when you get close-ups on the characters, and there are some graphical glitches, but it does look like it's running fine and it's fighting fine. Now, I'm not a Mortal Kombat 1 expert, so like I'm sure if like the competitive community is going to have all sorts of problems when they find out, oh, this combo doesn't work or this combo doesn't work. But if you just want to practice combos on the go, maybe this is a good product. I don't really know, but it looks like hell.
Yeah, maybe it's just got some momentary issues. Like I said, so we don't know the full extent of it. I'm watching some of the gameplay now that like, yeah, the fighting seems at a glance like, yeah, it seems okay.
Yeah, it looks like it's running at 60 FPS. It just looks like, obviously
It's very low res.
low res, and like the character models are
Right.
lacking some
Shimmery,
texture,
a lot
and
lower res.
polys.
And there is, I do wonder what's going on. I don't know if their eyes are always like, they do all look sort of like hollow. So I don't know. Yeah, I'd have to see more of it. They all look like they got Raiden's eyes, so I don't know.
But we do know that, like, if you really care about your game, you can make magic happen on the Switch. Like we saw that like long ago. That Witcher 3 port was amazing. The fact that
I don't
they
know
made that
how
work,
they did that.
the fact that they
Like
made that work.
Hearing from indie devs trying to get their game on the Switch, and it's like, well, we have to completely redo the lighting, or we have to remove all the lighting.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get it working on the Switch, so that was just magic.
And then those Zelda games, they do look really good on the Switch. Like they just really do, So there is, I think it's harder when you have to port it to two systems. So when you look at the PlayStation 5 version of a game and the Switch version of a game, yeah, it's gonna look a lot worse on the Switch. And Nintendo doesn't really have to deal with that for Zelda, right? Because there is no version on the PS5.
Right.
You get what you
Exactly.
get. You get the Switch version, and that's the best looking version of the game until somebody cracks it and puts it on PC and you run it at 4K.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at. Like, and maybe like not knowing the extent of it, it might just be caught in the moment. Some of these screenshots, some of the like cutscenes, and maybe the gameplay and everything, like pound for pound. Maybe overall it's fine, and then it's just sort of be aware of it. Do you think it's worth the full price? Because yeah, like in general, I don't. It's a super high polish, long in the making game, and everybody seems to be loving it, right? I think it's getting high scores. So
That's good.
What did
Anyway.
happen since last week
Do your
that we
research.
didn't talk about
Uh-oh.
was the Unity situation.
Oh yeah,
my
what's going
goodness.
on there?
Well, initially Unity came out, which is a game engine for people who are unaware, and said that they are going to be charging developers per install of their game. So every time someone installs your game, you will be getting charged for it. And if they install it on PC and then they install it on their Steam Deck, that is 2 installs, and
Oh,
you will be
what
charged
the-
for both installs.
But the developer only got paid once.
Correct.
What if I install it, delete it, and install it again?
Yep.
What?
Yep.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so this was the initial thing that they came out with, and then they were like, well, what about Game Pass? I put my game on Game Pass. It's been, a developer said, it's been installed 7 million times.
Yeah.
That would be more money than I've made in my entire life to pay you.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, Microsoft's going to pay that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean it.
Which,
Okay.
It is
Are
such a big. I mean, it is one of the biggest current problems in game development right now. That's how big of an issue it is.
it's really, really bad. Yeah.
It's affecting so many people. Yeah, like a favorite of ours, right? Watts, the Cult of Lamb developers
Yep.
literally had said, install the game now if it's you got it on Steam because we're deleting it come January. Like that's the graph.
They're
Now
just
this
gonna
was
delete it.
before. Now that's what they were saying is things are still developing. Unity came out and
They are, yeah.
has said they're reevaluating it. It's a mess.
It was really awful because obviously making games takes a long time, and some people have been working on their indie game that they plan to take to market for the last 3 years on Unity. They're getting close to launch, and now they're like, well, do I try and port this to a different engine? Do I just give up on it? Do I just pray that Unity walks it all back and I can still release it? And it's been awful because they let developers go through all of this panic the entire weekend. They didn't update anyone. They just dropped this bomb and then kind of left everyone to be scared. And then today they came out with a tweet being like, yeah, we're looking into it. So people are still waiting to see what the outcome is for their games.
So I guess they had a meeting about this today, or I guess they announced some more stuff today, like kind of backtracking a little bit. But it's still, I mean, the threat, the system is still in place.
Yeah,
They're just, go ahead.
the reason it's such an issue though is the trust factor's the problem, because like whether or not there's some statements of like, well, it only affects like maybe 10% of their customers here and there, or whatever the percent is, like it's still affecting people, but it's all it's the trust ultimately. I mean, the fact that they were willing to make this change and could make this change has everybody like, I need off this boat.
Well, that's the thing, is that they're like, oh, it's only affecting like this tiny amount of our consumers. And that's because you have a lot of people who are studying game dev who are downloading Unity and like messing around with it. So yeah, there's in terms of numbers, I'm sure it is affecting a small amount of people who are actually using your engine to take it to market. But that is still a lot of people. And there's been some really good videos on it for people who are devs in Unity who were like, there's just no way that you can pay it, because a point that they brought up is a lot of the time when you develop a game, you don't get all of that money right away. You're not getting it right up front, but Unity will be charging you for installs right away. So you don't have any you don't have any money to pay the bill with.
This is so fucked up, because like if I went to the store
really
and I bought a hammer, like
Yeah.
I don't owe the hammer company a portion of everything I sell that I build using that hammer. So why do they get to if I buy this tool from Unity, why do they get to get a portion of everything I make with that tool?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
Are
where
other game engines like that?
I was gonna say I don't know where fee structures begin and end, but obviously Unity was supposed to be more appealing in terms of like for indies and these options. Like a couple things that happened related to this, right? They responded to originally on September 13th saying like, wait, to clarify, these fees only affect developers who've reached the revenue threshold and the install threshold. So yeah, it won't affect 90% of Unity users. That was to say, but then like a Twitter community correction was even assuming that was the worst of it. There's a press release from March 2022 that states there's 230,000 developers. Then they operate over 750,000 games. This was like them touting, look at how many people are using it. You take 10% of those numbers, you've tons of people's lives affected. But that's just assuming that that's the half of it. Never mind, again, I think the bigger problem is the trust. Everybody's like, wait, you're willing to do this? You didn't like commune with us. And now, like, some people are just like, I'm absolutely getting out of it. I've seen some people like posting GitHub, Unity to Unreal port stuff. I mean, obviously that gets very messy, but yeah, people's lives are at stake. I have someone in my community who's a game developer, and they were like just devastated. They've learned on it, they've developed on it, and they literally were like, sort of, I asked them about the situation, not knowing they were on Unity, and then I could tell it was like sort of just generally depressing and devastating at the time. They didn't know what's next.
Yeah, and you got to think about publishers as well, right? Like a lot of these dev studios go with a publisher to try and, to get as much success as they can for their game. So if you're making 200,000 before they start charging you, the game developer doesn't have 200,000, the publisher doesn't have 2,000. It's split between the two. It is a system that is never going to work, and it is so incredibly detrimental to game devs that, yeah, I think like you said, if they walk it all back and you're in like year 4 of making your game, maybe you put out your game in Unity, but from there, if you can learn a different engine, because like Fran's saying, it's the trust. Now that they know that what you're willing to do, no one should ever use your engine.
Yeah. So they said on September 19th, about 4 p.m. Pacific time, we've heard you. We apologize for the confusion and angst. the runtime fee policy we announced on Tuesday calls. We're listening, talking to our team members, community, customers, and partners, and we'll be making changes to the policy. We will share an update in a couple of days. Thank you for your honest and critical feedback.
Another couple of days.
Yeah.
It's going to be an awful response, I'm sure. And then it'll be another couple of days, and it'll be the weekend, and then it'll be Monday again. And it is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. And like I said, the CEO is the same that worked for EA and wanted to Battlefield to charge real money for bullets.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It's that
this
guy.
adds up.
That guy. It's all
former
getting together.
EA CEO.
And I think this was the same same guy, not a dev, who was like making fun of game devs who were fighting back against like really bad monetary practices, because he was like, "You're stupid. Why would you not take the money?"
Oh yeah.
Because some people care about more than just squeezing every little cent from people.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Hate
that's
this
right.
guy.
John Riccitiello. That's right.
Do you think this like just puts a bullet in Unity's head? Like it's just nobody's gonna use it? Like even if they fall back and like just like completely go away from this and say, okay, I'm sorry, so sorry, like this was so wrong. Everybody's just gonna be like, well, I don't want anything to do with this company anymore.
I mean, I think that's. I mean, I would want to speak to developers about it because I just have no idea of how to approach that, right? Because the reason they used it, especially at the beginning, but meaning it wasn't as good as Unreal, but the fees and the costs of using it was like that was what was made it so compelling. You
And it
knew
was a
that
bit
Unreal
better
was
for 2D games than
Yeah.
Unreal. Yeah.
yeah, and
It
it's
was the
evolved
2D.
a bunch. So some people have like learned and tweaked, and it's gotten a lot better. That it is, I think, on the tech side, it's gotten better. It's still no Unreal Engine 5, I'm sure. And again, I can't speak to it. Well, I haven't done a deep dive, but the point is, all of these people I think would happily be on Unreal, but there's like cost there, the cost of entry and all this other stuff. But that's the real opportunity, is for Unreal to come in and just start cutting deals with all of these games, and even if they're custom deals or something, maybe getting people to move over.
Man, it's like, think of all the teachers who are teaching Unity and kids who are in courses for it's affecting
Oh, God.
so
Can you
many
imagine?
people.
Oh, I just graduated with my
you've
Unity
spent-
degree.
I know. You spent,
Can't wait to get
spent
that job
50
market.
years teaching Unity. Well, guess what? Now no one wants to take your course.
Yeah. In terms of Riccitiello, I wonder if it's Riccitiello, but I don't think anybody says it properly.
I've heard it.
I think
said
everybody's always
Riccitiello.
called him Riccitiello. Yeah, exactly. But I'm meeting him in the middle. But yeah, John Riccitiello is like known in the industry a long time. But I'm wondering, if the problem is that when you're a CEO, that's your bullet to take. And normally that's what happens. So I kind of wonder if he's going to be there, because like they can do as a show of force, say we've walked it back. And then he's like, hey, I'm moving on, everybody. I've got, greener pastures. It's possible that he might be pushed out, because they're like, look, you were the face of this.
He does
and you were also the one that should have stopped it, even if all the investors at the table, like they wanted the money too. But he's the one that's going to have to take the bullet. I wonder if that means it's going to be done.
Well, and they're not doing this for if you're developing like a gambling thing with it. If you're doing things that are not video games, then you don't have to worry about being charged. It really just makes me feel like Unity does not want game devs anymore. They just want to have like their little mobile gambling things. I don't know. It's really, really, really bad. And I hope that for any devs out there, you can manage to get into a different engine and do good work there, because
Jesus. Last week, Unity closed 2 offices and canceled a planned town hall meeting following what was reportedly a credible death threat.
Oof. Well, that's not cool.
That's a little much.
We don't need that. But I was also reading a report here. Again, quick glance, so you'll have to look at the detail. But there's a report on Kotaku about Riccitiello and some other executives like selling stocks before the announcement. And
They did.
Oh, shit.
So there's...
Somebody might be going to jail.
There's all sorts of potential things going on. So again, I think verified, and I don't know the detail here, but it looks really bad is the point. It looks really bad. I do feel awful for I mean, like I didn't even compute on that side. All the people learning, like kids and teachers,
Yeah.
it's like a whole ecosystem that you're screwing up. So I don't
Yep.
know. I would hope that somehow they can put a guarantee of contract in place somehow. They're gonna have to, right? Like you're literally at the point where it's like we guarantee for the next 7 years this will not occur again, and like right, because without it in writing, nobody's gonna believe them.
Yeah,
Yep.
I wouldn't. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Put something in writing to where I can take you to court if you go back on this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I mean,
then,
people
we'll
invest
chill for a bit
years
while
of
I
my
learn
life.
another engine.
I was gonna say people are gonna do what Watt said, which is like they'll even if they still do that, they'll still be secretly finishing that game while they port to the other one and get off of it.
Yeah, and they're saying this is retroactive too. Like, so if like the amount of money you make is based
Yeah, it
on how
had to
many
be because the
downloads
Call to
you
Lamb
have.
folks were
That's fucking
that's the
silly.
yeah.
I just don't even know, like, and yeah, you want more money. Why do you think that this would ever work?
I want to know
I don't
more
get it.
about like how all these game engine kind of contracts work. I want to know all about it because if this is how this works, it's so ridiculous. Like if I go buy a Milwaukee drill, I don't owe them money based on what I sell using their tool. That's fucking stupid.
It's very stupid. It's really, really,
Or
really
even
stupid.
like in software, if I'm selling prints that I made in Photoshop, I don't owe Adobe part of the proceeds.
Oh, when you make a YouTube video in DaVinci or whatever, you're
Yeah.
not paying DaVinci part of your YouTube money.
How can it work like this? Is it just that there's
And it was
just
a
no
trust me,
option?
bro. It was trust me, bro. We know we're tracking it accurately because they can't tell you how they're tracking it because then maybe people can do stuff to make them unable to track it.
Yeah.
So they're just like, trust us. We are tracking it so accurately. So you just get a bill in the mail from someone. You have no idea how they reached that number. And
What a mess. God damn.
Yeah.
What a mess.
Yeah, I wonder
think they
what
said that the tracking for the installs is our estimates. I think they even said that. So
yeah, I mean, for what you were also saying, like, how did they arrive at this? Like, again, the problem is, without knowing all the exacts, is like, they look at it like 10%, but they don't look at it like 23,000 developers, which based on the 20, right? That's the problem with the whole thing. Let's just assume that that's truthful and accurate. You're still talking about 23,000 indie developers, big and small, and they range, up and down from a 1-person team to a 10-person team, and like they just see that 10%, and that's why I think they're like, it's only 10% are gonna have to worry about this anyway. Like, but that to not care about those 10% and to think they're just gonna sit quietly. But yeah, my friends in the publishing business, Rogue Games, you may have seen some of their stuff, Dust and Neon, and they got that new God, what is that cool new game they have coming out? Cookie Cutter. You might have seen that one. But anyway, they issued a statement. But again, these are friends of mine, I should note. But yeah, they said they joined the community in asking Unity to reconsider these seemingly arbitrary and exorbitant new costs, which appeared to be wholly overlook several business models, including demos, early access, and subscription plans like Game Pass and Netflix, traditionally home to some of the latest, most innovative, and most celebrated titles from the indie game scene. And they go on from there. So it's
they put the threshold at 200,000 was the first one. And it's like, well, what about paying the developers to develop the game for X amount of years? Like, that $200,000 is not yours, Unity. It's not. There's not going to be any money to pay you. They're paying the employees. Then maybe they're paying for an office. They're paying the publisher. It's it's gross, and the people behind it are gross. And I would hope that dude would never have another job in the gaming industry after this. He's got enough money. He can go.
Curse him and his children.
Yeah, I curse him. I mean, this is a pattern with this guy, right?
Please.
This is a pattern of bad behavior from this man.
Goddamn, Fran, I was this many years old when I found out about Cookie Cutter. This game looks cool as fuck.
Yeah, that game is one of their coolest looking new, like hand animated. Yeah. Anyway, again, friends of mine. Full disclosure. So, but yeah, it's a messy situation, and yeah, it sucks because so many indie developers. This is like one of the main indie game development platforms. So
It
we'll
is.
see.
Yeah.
I mean,
Very
again,
good at
it
2D
was
games.
it was September 17th when they said we will share an update in a couple of days. So we are now 24 hours away from that. See where it lands.
I mean, I think you guys nailed it when you said, like, even if they go back on it, everybody's going to be like, yeah, whatever. Like, we'll finish up what we're doing and then we're out.
Yeah.
Yeah. People's lives are, imagine, I mean, we can't even, but their lives are upended right now. They're just sitting
And you're
there
just sitting and waiting. Yeah.
Like, I'm just
Being
picturing, like, you're, like, just chilling, and then they make this announcement, and then you're, like, doing the math, and you're like, they might send me a bill for, like, $200,000 next month. Like, what the?
Yeah.
I didn't budget for that.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, like there's a lot of people who are like, well, it won't affect me right now, probably, but like again, like the whole thing with indies is like you have whatever, a game like Valheim and Among Us, where it's like
Right.
you go from like I thought I
Yep.
was gonna move like 15,000 copies to I moved 1 million. And so like it doesn't matter whether you think it will affect you based on your last game. Everybody wants that moment where you get the hit. It'd be
It
like
hurts
publishing
the
to
dev
YouTube.
dream. It hurts
Yeah.
the indie dev dream of wanting to hit it big and make that game that just pops off, and all of a sudden it's an indie hit across
Yeah,
so
like-
many gamers.
Maybe it would be like being a small YouTube creator that gets, like a couple thousand views on most videos, but you're always trying to find that luck and you got the 1 million viewed video. And if YouTube puts in place that if your videos get over 100,000 views, we will now be, but your whole like system is operating on what you assume that you would be making if your video blows up, and anyway, I'm sure that
It's very
is
sad.
not the best comparison, but it's
Very
a scary world is the point.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Fuck that
Right,
guy.
well, let's see where that goes.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
And yeah.
Gothalion just responded to that tweet, bitch. Very on brand. No, nothing else. I was like, that pretty much sums it up.
Yep. That's the TLDR.
Yeah.
Unity of being some bitches.
Should we wrap this one up?
Yeah, I got Liza P. I got P in the lie all over. I'm lying
You
in
gotta
a
crank
P.
that
organ.
P.
Crank it up.
Crank that P organ.
Right before a boss fight.
Oh.
So we'll see
Do you know
how that goes.
what the boss is?
It is and this is from the book, so this isn't a spoiler because they're in the book.
Okay.
It's the Rabbit Brotherhood, the Black Rabbit Brotherhood. Those guys.
I haven't
Those
read the
guys.
book. I might have read the book when I was like a little kid, but I don't remember anything of it. Were they in the movie, the Disney movie?
I know Donkey was, but yeah, I think so. I don't remember. I haven't watched that in a long time. It's been a long time. But yeah, these are the Brotherhood who hunt puppets. So
Maybe I'll get the Steam version and play just a little bit tonight.
This fall, the Puppet Hunters.
All right. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you next week. Have a wonderful week, I suppose.
day, week,
Yeah.
time.
Unless
Have a good
you're
time.
developing on Unity, we feel for you. So
Yeah.
let's
Have
hope
a
you get
wonderful
some better
weekend. We
news.
fuck those guys. Bye.
Goodbye.